So for the assignment, let's quickly run the correction. Word, okay, data, word bank. So let's go to the word development data bank. Okay. So for this one, let's assume I'm considering Nigeria, for example. So I'm considering Nigeria. From the series, I want to look into how the increase in population is affecting access to electricity and how it's affecting the GDP value of that country. Meaning I'm dealing with three variables. Impact of population on access to electricity and GDP value for that country. So the first thing I will relate with is population. So I need population total. Population total. Population. I can relate with this population growth also, but I need population total. Okay, population total. So I've selected the population. So I also need access to electricity. Access to electricity. Access to electricity. Okay, access to electricity per population. I also need GDP per capita. GDP per capita. GDP per capita. GDP. GDP per capita. Okay, let's use this in US dollar. So I've gotten all the data that I want to use. Another consideration how many years have I considering the data for? I want to consider it for time, which is 20 years. So I pick 20 years. So I'm done with the data. Mine is just to click on apply to bring all the data sets in. So these are the data sets, and I will go under option for download. I will be downloading this as Excel. So the data is already downloaded. Let me check inside the folder. This is the data set. I will open the data set. So this is the data set. The data set is in horizontal axis over here. The next thing I need to do, this is just a series to show the data set I have here. Create a new data set, ready to use data. So I will select the data that I have over here. I can just click on this side and I'll write all the data. I will copy, go to the new Excel sheet and right click and click special transpose. And this is the data set. And don't forget, our data set is running from which year? This is 2003 to 2022. So with that, I can come back here, 2003 to where? So let's give it another one, 2004. So let's just select the two and double tap on the edge to label it down. So if you check this data set, this one is missing here. Except you can get this data set, I will delete this 2022 and limit my data to 2021 because I'm not seeing one of the variable over here. But if you like, you might use what we refer to as interpolation, meaning that based on the trend of what is coming from here, you can also get the data of that one. But in most cases, that will relatively be the result. But it's better to be on safer end because if you are giving us this data and you are using it in your report, you must give us a reference to where you get the data. So that when we now want to go and check where you get the data and we are not finding that year there, then that means there's a clause you have done
So
mago.
what if you have situation where you have two empty spaces? Like
That is what I'm not
2000.
saying, that with that one you can run interpolation, or you leave it by deleting instead of the dash that will be there. You can leave it by making empty, but it will make your data not balanced. So it's better in most cases like that one. If I have it in between, what I used to run is interpolation, looking at the data that is running before it and after it
After it.
to justify what the result will. Because if you look at the trend of this one also, like this is increasing, is increasing, is increasing, is increasing, is increasing. So there's a simplicity. If you check this one, it decreases to this place, increases towards this place, data decreases, increases, whatever. So the trend look of the closest data will help you to justify that one. But that one is not the point of discussion now. So let's delete this upper side. We already know every data that we are dealing with is Nigeria. So let's delete this. Also this. So the data set that we have here is what? Population, total, access to electricity and the likes. So here is the year. So I can give them outline. So this is my, let me insert a new cell. So I can merge this and label this as merge and label it Nigeria data from 23 to 2021.
So now what we are trying to do now is determining how the population affects the access to
Access to
electricity and the
electricity and
GDP per
GDP per
capita.
capita. So first and foremost, what I need to do here is to see the trend line of my population, trend line of my access to
Access to
electricity,
electricity.
and that of my GDP. So what I will do for that one, this population, let me select the year, hold your control if you are using mark command, and select your population total. So we can go into insert. If you use the recommend, there should be a graph, simply to that one. So this is the graph. You can see from this graph now, there is, as my over the year, population keep increasing in Nigeria from 2003 to 2021. So what I need to do this one, Nigeria, my title of this graph will be Nigeria population, that will be in brackets from 2003 to 2021. So I have to label this x-axis to let people know that this is population, while this one is year. So what I need to do to that one, if you are using window, you will see a cursor by this end that is having a plus icon that you can use. But because this is Mac, I will go under the arc chart. So I can click on axis primary horizontal, you see primary horizontal, and I also go on axis primary vertical. So over the vertical, I can click here and say population, so that anybody that is seeing this chart will be able to relate with it, that this is what the graph is all about, and this place will be year. Yeah, so that is on population. So let's check for the access to electricity also. In similar way, so just highlight that and sorry, highlight the year and command access to electricity, insert, recommend. So should we use this, or let's use this? That is on population. Same thing that we do for that. We also repeat it for this. Just for us to have. So we can see that this is getting us a fluctuating data over the year. Though there's not too much gap, but at least there's some level of fluctuation. So we can name this to let them know that it's a Nigerian access to electricity in percentage of population. While we also bring the axis primary, horizontal, vertical. So this will be year, year, and this one will be percentage population. That is what follows the data from. So that will be percent of population. So that one is done. So the last data set that we are using, which is the GDP by value per capita. So we'll plot that one also. Insert. Let's use this. We can just change their color so that we'll be able to know what you are related with. So Nigeria, GDP per capita, control code, my horizontal, compare vertical. So yeah, sorry. Vertical. So our year, and these are so this will be currency in US dollar. So let's just say US dollar. Let's say GDP per capita in US dollar. So these are our graphs showing our trend. You might even put it in front of here, Nigeria population trend. Abi trend of Nigeria, whatever English you want to use. All of you that is having English. Trend of Nigeria, whatever. So that is the first part of the assignment. The second part is now to look into the descriptive analysis based on what we have here. Because descriptive analysis is just to go under your data analysis. If you have not put that one there, you can check into how to insert that. I think I've explained that one previously. So you can go for descriptive analysis statistics. Okay. So for the input range, you can come and select that data set that you have over here. You might select here, but it's not majorly necessary because you know what you will get for the year already. So our output range, because I want it on this same Excel sheet, we have it in column. We have the data set in column. So we label the first row as first row to be labeled. So our output range will be on the same Excel. That's what I'm selecting here. So I want the output results to be somewhere around here. Okay. So and from here, somebody returned the data analysis at the time that the description analysis. You said you deleted it. Well, at least if you did not select anything, it will first prompt that you should select something. Because if you press OK to ask to well, what you majorly need is under this summary statistics. At some time you might look into the confidence level, but not that fully, depending on what you want to do your analysis on. So let's press OK. So these are our results. So immediately you get this, you have a fixed decimal point that you relate with. Yours is just to highlight those cells and go under your home and go under your number here. So under this your number, more number format, you can limit under number, you can limit the decimal point. So it will be limited to that restricted one. But that one does not matter in this case. So the next thing I expect you guys to do over here is to bring all this title on where the number is, something like this. Just cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste, and delete many mean and kene that is here. Just delete all this one. So that I have all the data set together, something like this. This population growth, and I can select this. So this is my descriptive analysis. Descriptive statistics of Nigeria data from 2003 to 2021. And the second part of it now is correlation analysis. So what is correlation analysis? So we are looking into how those parameters correlate with each other. So that one does not even really depend on where we should state which one is dependent and which one is independent. So it's just for us to see the correlation between all of them. So data analysis, correlation, and input range all again. So now there's anything involved in year, except we want to be seeing how the year correlates with. So we can say is in column, the first row is label, the output we want it somewhere around here. We want the output on the there. So we want the output somewhere around here. So we can click OK. So these are correlation results. I'll put it over here. O match correlation analysis of Nigeria population. Okay, don't let us put it keyboard between 2003 to 2021. And if I think I've also explained the regression analysis, but I did not ask that on your assignment. So that one is data regression analysis. That is regression analysis. This is where the dependent and independent variable is so small. Because here now we want to see how population is affecting access to electricity and is also affecting GDP per capita. So meaning our population now is will be our X range, meaning our independent variable. While the access to electricity that we want to look into will be our dependent variable. But in this way, we have linear dependent regression and we have multiple regression and analysis. But this way around, let's do it in linear, seeing how population is affecting access to electricity and see how population is also affecting GDP. Then I'm still finding a way around this on Excel, but I think from y-axis we can only select a single variable. Let me select two so that we'll see what I want to say. So assuming for that y now, we are selecting these two. I mean, that's what we want to compare. We want to make this a separate y, this one separate y. The last one I did it's not giving it a voice. Let's make it in a new sheet and label it regression analysis. Regression analysis. Okay. Our label. So we want the confidence level to be 0.05. Okay. It should return an error, meaning the input range must be a single row or a column. So definitely it's calibrated in a linear regression analysis. So I have to, under this space, I have to separate I first select the access to electricity and come back. Regression analysis of access to electricity. Yeah. Okay. The word is too long. Okay. So this is the regression analysis for population to access to electricity. So let me replace this one. REG access to LA. So I can go back to the data set and also run for the second aspect. Regression analysis. Okay. So this one, I'll only be changing this to GDP per capita. And I can change this to, let me just put REG GDP. And I'll create another one. So this here. So if you check something that we have over here, you can see that this one is telling us that population is not affecting the GDP per capita based on this result, because if it's significant over here is supposed to be less than the 0.05, but this here is showing that is greater than 0.05.
So is this where we have the null hypothesis and
So your decision of your
alternate?
result now will not be probably supporting, because some of the research question will have put the hypothesis that the null hypothesis that way this is not affecting this. For example, your null hypothesis may be that way your population is not affecting. So if with this result that we are seeing from here now, definitely your null hypothesis is true. But in case that we will now have, let's check the second one. You can see this one now. This one is lower than 0.05. So you can say that the population is affecting access to electricity, because this is less than 0.05, which is the significant level that we are considering. But for the GDP now, it's not less than. Though you have other parameters that you can use to interpret, I'm just using the key one, which is the significant level of that one, to explain the one. And you can see even from the p-value, look at the p-value here, we are having a 0.68, which is high, and when you check for that access to electricity, we are getting 0.02, which is lower than that one. So we can deduce now that the population is affecting what? Is affecting the access to electricity, and is not affecting that of GDP per capita. Are we on good page? But for in supporting of that one, if you are now discussing also, if you go and check on data ready to use for the correlation aspect, you can see that the population, let's check it, this is the population in correlation to, okay, let's check it over here. This population total in correlation to access to electricity, you can see that is high. Let me mark it with red. You can see that is high over here. Let's change this to white. Is high over here, and it is positive correlated, meaning that the more population is increasing, the way is also affecting. Okay, let's use the population growth. The way population is growth is increasing, the way it affects electricity, but now is in negative way. It's in negative way in the sense that increase in population will definitely decrease the access to electricity. And same thing if you see from this particular one, the population, you can see the population growth here. Look at the GDP per capita. You can see that this is negative and it's still very low. This is 0.09. That is the reason why it's not affecting over here. I don't probably relate to what I'm saying. Okay, it's GDP growth that we even use. You can see that GDP growth here is not relating with GDP, population growth, sorry, is not significant to GDP per capita, because this is not less than 0.05. For this one to be significant, it must be less than where's less than is zero, it must be less than 0.05. But if you check this is far greater than 0.05. So we now said for you to now relate it also with the correlation value, you can see over here this GDP growth. See the GDP per capita, despite the fact that it's negative, it's still what? It's still very low. And we told us that last class that we have the correlation coefficient from 0 to 0.3 to be low, 0.3 increase to 0. Probably 5 or 6 medium, while your from your 6 above is high. And so from this one now you can see the population growth to access to electricity is on high side, but it's showing a negative correlation, means that increasing one will be decreasing the other one. So in this case, as population growth is increasing, which our graph have shown from here, as population is increasing, the what has happened to the access to electricity is decreasing. Though basically on our graph is showing a fluctuation, but don't forget that correlation is a measure statistics that we use in looking into forecast of probability of what will happen. So this one, what this one is summarizing to us is that way, as the population growth is increasing, the access to electricity will be decreasing. Exactly. So that is the summary of the assignment I say you should do. So let me save it and send it to your group chat.